Greetings and salutations, family.
Just messing with you.
Greetings and let me fix. He's the boss, but I can still fix the screen. So greetings and salutations, Focus Up family. Welcome to the July 14th, July 5th installment of the Focus Up Show. We thank you for tuning in with us live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on YouTube and various other platforms, or catching up with us on replay. And we ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your weekly Focus Up fix. I am Mr. Nice Guy, nice as in the word Saint spelled backwards. And today, back in the house, we got the lovely First Lady Jay. What's going on with you, sister? We got. Sorry about that. I'm gonna come back to you. Let me do the proper information. The boss man messed up the order, all this stuff. But yes, Afro. Hey, but we love you, boss. Afro Agnostics. What's going on with you, brother? We got the star of Afro Agnostics. So check that out. We'll try to promote it. We got the student and the teacher. Student X, our Minister of Information, star of Mutant Politics. What's going on with you, brother? Suited and booted and ready to go. Very lathered up to speak about the Carmelo Anthony, not the Carmelo Anthony, the other Carmelo Anthony. So we got Mr. Floyd X, the boss.
I'm a boss. I'm not with that. It's never.
That's enough. All right.
We got the infamous El Pooh, star of Spin That Back. What it do, infamous? Now we brother Walk. I don't know. He's probably gonna be on CPT time. We'll see what's happening. Shout out to that brother. But brother Walk, star of Sex Talk Walk every Thursday. This Thursday coming up, and every Thursday after that at 9 p.m. Talking about grown heterosexual conversations. That's what's up. So let's start it off. What's going on with you, First Lady J? Welcome back, sister.
Thank you. I'm just glad to be back with you fellas. Nothing has changed, just a busy schedule as usual for me, but I'm here. I'm glad to be here.
All right, welcome back, First Lady. Welcome back.
Oh, and you know what? Very important. Happy birthday to the boss, boss. His birthday just happened, so that's what's up, Mr. Floyd X. So Thank you very much for all that you do, sir. And I hope you had a great, awesome birthday the other day.
Salute, brother.
Yep. I finally made 30.
Oh, man.
On top of so brother Afro Agnostics, not only what's going on with you, brother, but tell us about your show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's actually I have a new episode coming up. An episode I'm kind of going in on the myth of Black disunity, the so-called claim that Black people don't stick together. I've done 3 videos so far. You can find them on YouTube, Afro-Agnostics. I have a video on deconstructing some of Sebi's claims, and the intro. So I'm working on it, trying to finish up some video editing today. You can also find Afro-Agnostics on Instagram and TikTok, or as long as TikTok lasts here in the United States. But yeah.
Brother Afro is gonna be a TikToker. He's a TikToker.
Hey bro, I love it. And look, I wish you the best of success. And honestly, I think you're gonna do extremely well, brother. I'm talking about, I think you're gonna do, get a lot of followers and do extremely well. So I'll be supporting you.
I appreciate that, Student X. Yeah, subscribe,
yes, sir.
Like and subscribe.
That's what's up, brother. Student X, our Minister of Information, who's always got some good information for us, and I know he's gonna have a doozy of some information. We're gonna lean on you, speaking about this big, beautiful bill and that other Anthony. But what's going on with you, brother Student X?
Bro, I'll just have a few little tidbits, if you will, on those topics. But bro, everything is good. I'm excited about participating on the show and being in studio again, if you will.
That's what's up. Mr. Floyd X, what's going on with you, sir?
Chilling, just enjoying my weekend. I don't celebrate the 4th, but I do celebrate the 3rd.
That's a good one. Infamous El Pooh, what it do?
Yeah, blessed and happy to be here once again. I just want to give a shout out to this youngster out here, this young man named 4 Extra that was actually playing with some fireworks yesterday and lost his hand.
Damn! That happened to 4 Extra?
Yeah,
He lost his hand.
he lost his hand playing with fireworks yesterday.
Damn. I didn't know. I didn't know you was talking about him when you was talking about somebody did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was gonna be a joke about 4 extra. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's they're ironically and terrible. Hey man, these fireworks are absolutely terrible. We'll talk about it in another segment. A dog damn near had a heart attack. I was fighting with that mug for about 3 hours. So yeah, I'm not a fan of all of that fireworks stuff. But
those dogs be going wild with the
oh my goodness.
fireworks.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
that's true. Well, let's
So
get to the kid. Nice guy.
That's what's up. So and infamous, no spin that back today. No Afro agnostics, no mutant politics. Well, sorry, there is Afro agnostic. There's no objective deconstruction. So let me be clear about that. So we kind of taking a day off after a fashion, not to celebrate the 4th of July, but we celebrate July the 3rd. That's what's up. So that having been said, first up, rest in peace. We want to say rest in peace to, I believe it's Michael Madsen. This dude was a great character actor. I always think about him in a Reservoir Dogs, and it seemed like he did a lot of Quentin Tarantino stuff. He's definitely in Kill Bill, but he's just a name and a face that we've seen a lot. And he's pretty young. I don't remember what his age was. I mean, it was in the 60s, but it's a tragedy. We celebrate his life and our condolences to his family. Salute. So then we also have, we just found out recently, Young Noble of the Outlaws. Now this was suicide. Now this brother, how old was he? He was like 50. I want to say
40 something.
47.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
47.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's just, and mental health in the Black community is real. A lot of people, all this machismo and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? There's people struggling with real problems, real situations, and it is an absolute tragedy. And this is something to learn from. This is just letting you know that there's Black faces with these problems too. So rest in peace to that brother. Salute to his family. Condolences to his family. And that's
real quick, I just want to play a video clip of him speaking about Tupac. And this just so y'all probably never seen the video, but you check him out on Art of Dialogue.
I'm 46. So all motherfuckers want to do is get on camera and dissect his fucking life. It was amazing. Thing that niggas can't take nothing from that nigga. You hear me? Niggas can't take nothing from no fucking Tupac. Crazy? Nigga was everything, man. Died at 25.
Everybody that speak on Young Noble say he was a good brother. I heard from what's the dude, the Reggie White was talking about how he was taking care of a special needs child. And everybody that talks about Young Noble talk about how he was a good brother, how he kept Tupac's name alive, and he never compromised or never besmirched the name of Tupac and the Outlaws. So rest in peace to that brother, and take care of your friends, and mental health is real. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I want to add that not necessarily on him in particular, but just in general, there's this growing debate on, should assisted suicides, be allowed, because honestly, we're going to see an uptick of these situations. Things are not getting easier, and we're going to talk about the big beautiful bill later on, but there's going to be an uptick, so R.I.P. to the brother.
So, what you gonna say, brother Afro?
No, I was the age difference between him and Tupac. I can see how Tupac was really a mentor to some of the Outlaws. That was a little age gap between them.
Yeah, he was
Tupac
18.
50 something. Yeah,
he was like 18 when Tupac brought him up.
Mm-hmm.
And we also want to do shout out a rest in peace to Jim Shooter, who was like the Marvel's editor-in-chief for pretty much from 1978 to 87. That was when I was super active in Marvel comic books. So that dude had a lot of impact on a lot of people. And the fact that the MCU is so big is a big shout out. So when, we talk about Stan Lee, but, Stan Lee was the bigger guy, but the person, not too far from that dude, one of the guys was Jim Shooter. So salute to his legacy. And also on that same note, Julian McMahon, who was, he starred in Nip Tuck, and he actually played Dr. Doom in the previous two Fantastic Four franchises ago, so to speak. But he died, I believe he was like 56. So he died of cancer. So again, it comes back to health, taking care of yourself to the extent that you can. I understand that some things come up, we don't have control of that, but it's just that we're on real time. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us are going to be going to our brother's funeral, not too long from now. It's basically our age. So just a reminder that the clock is ticking. Make good use of your time here. So that having been said,
hey, real quick on Shooter, what was real cold blood about him was that that dude started selling stories to DC Comics at the age of 14. 14, and it laid a foundation, for a brand that is alive and strong today, unless they keep, going with this woke stuff, you know what I mean? But, R.I.P. to that dude, man.
Also, I don't know if you got the message on DJ Polo. Were you going to mention that?
No. Yeah, because in the meeting we reminded Apu that DJ Polo had died over a year ago.
Damn.
That was 1 year anniversary.
But rest in peace to the legendary Juice Crew DJ Polo.
Okay.
Wow.
This segment's gonna take forever.
I'm not to be clowning everybody too much about the Wednesday meeting, but yeah. No. So that having been said, what do we have up? Oh, next is 4th of July. Now, why do we call it July, Mr. Floyd X?
4th of July? Because there's nothing to celebrate, really. You know what I'm saying? It's not independence. Who was independent? Who was made independent? We were still doing our thing, or what we was forced to do, right? Anybody want to speak on it?
Yeah, First Lady J. First Lady J, let me ask you first, what did you do for the 4th of July, and what's your take on that holiday?
What I did for the 4th of July, I cooked for my grandchildren, drove to Ontario, sat right there and watched them swim all day. That's what I did. My take on the 4th of July, as I matured and became an adult, I don't feel the need to go out buying fireworks or celebrate. That's literally making your money go up in smoke for what? I've always, even as a child, always felt like 4th of July to me was always a legal day for people to get away with shooting someone and not going. That's just always been my true thought about the 4th of July. I enjoy a fireworks show, but never really want to spend my money to go up and smoke. So my grandkids just asked me if I'll come and hang with them, and that's basically what I did.
Brother Afro Agnostics, what did you do? What do you think?
I did nothing. But if I was in Detroit, I would have, my son and my family, my folks, they barbecue. My little bro, he has a lot. He bought a lot in the back of where I used to live. So, folks set up there. They got rained out though, but still, that's probably what I would have done. There's no patriotism involved in it. It's just a day off, with family and cooking. No one dare not come with any red, white, and blue, anything. That's a no-no.
Where's Walk at with his flag? Where's Walk?
He celebrated too much.
Yeah.
He probably, hey, real talk. So, Brother Student X, what did you do? What do you think?
Yeah, it's another day for the kid, but I do respect, other people that, it means something to them, no matter what their, racial identity is, but obviously as it relates to us, the contradiction, creates what they would call a complex, relationship, with many of us in the holiday, so, that in and of itself, it's just not a big thing for me at all, but basically none of the holidays basically are, but to those that celebrated, hey, I hope you had a wonderful 4th. You enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed the day off, and today I'll be throwing some things on the grill, some veggies and whatnot, but it is important to note that, in the nation, the 4th of July does have meaning, because according to the teachings, they say Master Farah Muhammad, God appeared, at that time, and marking an end and declaring the end of bondage for Black people in America, back in 1930. So looking at it from that perspective, if there was anything I was going to celebrate, it would be that, straight up.
Word.
July 4th, 1930, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Mr. Floyd X, same questions, bro.
Yep. Well, I celebrated my birthday anniversary and thankful to be here. My wife and children bought me a grill with some Green Bay Packers attire to use while I'm cooking on the grill. So I'm very thankful and appreciative, and I try to enjoy my weekend. And, we know that the 4th of July is a lie.
Well, it's a lie for us. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it like this. I will take any day off that you give me, and if I have the opportunity to barbecue, I 100% will. I know brother was talking with my brother Leroy. I'm gonna shout you out, brother. He was saying I see too many people barbecuing on the 4th of July, and I ain't seen them barbecuing on Juneteenth. And I was like, I didn't get Juneteenth off. So you know what I'm saying? It's like, again, I've never had any connection. My family, we've never really connected this stuff to any of the holidays. We basically just use it as an opportunity to get together and break bread. So that's all it would be for me. And I almost didn't do it, but my wife at the last minute ordered some stuff and we stuck some stuff on a grill. So that's what's up. So and as far as my philosophy on it, absolutely I'm not gonna celebrate it. But guess what? It made me think about it. I wouldn't celebrate Juneteenth either, because my concept with Juneteenth is that if you basically take something away from me and then you give it back, I'm not going to celebrate that. You gave it to me back. You should celebrate that. Juneteenth is the day that white people should celebrate that they came closer to being decent. That's my take.
Damn.
So, infamous.
Give him that horn.
That was a hot stack, yo. Yeah. What's that horn at?
Yeah, bro. I can get you hot.
That was fire, nice guy. That was fire.
Thank you. Infamous Elpo. What you think and what you do?
I ain't do shit. I don't celebrate July. I think it's the biggest hypocritical holiday out there. I mean, how you gonna call it Independence Day and you're locking all these citizens and and people up here especially in this day and age in this country?
Yeah.
4th of July is a big old farce. It's full of something I don't agree with. So I don't celebrate 4th of July. I don't barbecue on 4th of July. But if people do barbecue, I will eat it. I will say that. 4th of July. But it is.
You're gonna cook it, I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So then what we got next after that is that the Remy Ma confrontation. Oh, Diddy Verdict. Oh yeah, this is the real stuff.
Verdict.
I can't believe
People was dancing in the streets.
They're celebrating with baby oil at the court.
Yeah.
I don't
They had
know
to block off the
video.
street.
Yeah. So, but I'm surprised that Walk is not here. Walk wanted to do the whole show about this, so I'm sad that he's not here. I almost feel inclined. First Lady J, I always go with you first. You know what? Screw that. I'm gonna go with you first on this. What did you take? What's your take on this verdict? What does it mean to you?
What it means to me, if you ever want to slide your way out of a situation, get some baby oil and lubricant.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a good
Man.
Definitely. All right, let's just go in order. Brother Apple Agnostics, what's going on with you, brother? What's your take on this verdict? First of all, let's establish. But before, I'm sorry, we should establish what the verdict was. So there was the RICO charge, and there was 2 trafficking charges. And what I found out after the fact is that it wasn't that he was just doing trafficking; it was the charges were that he was trafficking Cassie. I don't think that ever had a shot of being prosecuted because no one was paying for Cassie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe you could stretch it with him, but that they were paying another prostitute. So that's what I'm saying. That was doomed right there. As far as the RICO, it just didn't hold. It's a tough thing to tie down. But he did convicted two things of prosecution, interstate, that stuff. So that did happen. So that hasn't been said. Yes. So that happened, and I do believe there was an interstate aspect of it. But brother Afro Agnostics.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Student X because he was partially right as far as the verdict. He went 2 for 5. He like as you mentioned. you know, the sex trafficking, I'm sorry, the transportation to engage in prostitution, the Mann Act, is so close to the sex trafficking, I thought, but you know, I'm not a legal expert. I thought they would have it. And then the racketeering, I thought there was enough information. I don't know, because of how the case was sensationalized in the media, and even with the release of 50's statement in regards to the verdict, you know, there's still this baby oil, this he called him the gay Gotti or something like that. And I think the jury kind of, I don't know if they presented the prosecution a good case enough to convince the jury that he was, you know, that he was racketeering and involved in sex trafficking. But you know, I'll say not found guilty does not mean that you're innocent. We know he's not morally innocent, and billionaires rarely go to prison. So.
All right. So before I hit up Student X, what I will say is that you know, I'll give you a little things that lawyers say that they don't tell people and stuff like that. I'm not a lawyer, by the way, but you know, I've been working in law since 1984. I probably should have been an attorney, but that having been said, they always say that a jury is 12 people that were not smart enough to escape jury duty. So you know, and you know, honestly, and honestly, I'm not gonna blame the jury for the decision that they made, because at the end of the day, they didn't feel it was, number one, the reason why he got off on the RICO is they didn't feel it was a criminal, they didn't think it was a criminal enterprise. And you gotta also pay attention to what the jury instructions that they were actually reading. So you can't really fault them or say that they weren't incompetent or they whatever until you see what those jury instructions were. You know, it could have been such that, you know, it was construed in a way that where they just couldn't come to this decision. And I will point out that, you know, they were deadlocked. So it wasn't, the RICO thing wasn't just something they pulled out of their ass. They were fighting on this. There were people that were on one side of the fence and people on the other side of the fence. And at the end of the day, they just basically, you know, they not guilty. So we have a process. He's found not guilty about that. I hate that this has always been made about his freakiness, because I completely respect a grown man's freakiness. That's what adults do. But the abuse, that's real. The consent, this is confusion. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, just because you consent on an instant one, that doesn't mean you give consent on instant two. And the jury basically just felt it was all consensual. So based on that, I'm gonna pass it off to you, brother Student X.
Yeah, brother. You know, once again, in terms of like our community and how this was celebrated, you know, I was disappointed. But in general, you know, this is what you know I expected. You know, that I didn't take the bet with my brother Afro, because you know I didn't know exactly how it was going to play out, but I knew that overall this would be considered a victory. But technically, he still was found guilty on the other two charges. You know, so how do you interpret that? You know, he still can do time behind this. As you see, he wasn't released on bail immediately. You know, so. You know, but the interesting part to me is going to be the sentencing. You know, what is he going to get? I told you from the last week, I didn't know if this was done intentionally, but I felt like that this was like a setup. You know, essentially, you know, to put him on trial essentially with nothing. You know, and just have him be exonerated. You know, it came underneath the Biden administration. You know, not Trump. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it just always felt like from the gate, it was just a weak trial, you know, in terms of how it was presented, you know, and what we were looking at, you know, and the only thing they did was just show, okay, look, you know, this is a playboy, you know, doing what playboys do, you know, and so here we are.
Just as a recap, that video of him beating her when she was leaving, she said she was trying to leave a freak off. So I'm just saying it, you know, that's just give me a little context there, brother. Mr. Floyd X. Yeah. How do you feel about this though?
Well, when it happened, I seen the people celebrating and excitement. I seen the people angry. So many people was emotionally involved. And I try to keep myself not to get emotionally involved, but it does feel like a victory for, okay, he could be freaky and disgusting all he wants, but nobody that I was talking to or listening to was saying, oh, yeah, he was guilty of RICO and all that criminal enterprise and forcing people to have sex. He was just being a freaky dude doing freaky stuff. So, you know, I'm glad that he's not going to sit in jail and rot for the rest of his life. And I don't think he deserved that. And, you know, he does need some kind of punishment for the foul stuff he did. But, you know, it wasn't like really a celebration of things. I'm just glad that another black man is not sitting behind jail and just rotting away like our brother Suge Knight. You know, I hate that brother is sitting in jail like that, and I'm glad that
he killed somebody. He killed somebody.
I get that, but it's messed up. It's like, damn.
Man, somebody's right in the grave right now.
Suge Knight went to a place he should not have been to just to be a problem, and he killed somebody.
But it was a mistake. He didn't intentionally kill the dude. He backed up the car and tried to get him. I mean, I get he in jail, but it's just sad to know he's sitting in jail. That doesn't mean, oh yeah, go work forever. He accidentally killed somebody.
Also, the transportation to engage in prostitution, the sex act, is always involves coercion. That's part of how they prove it. So it wasn't just being a playboy or just having fun and being, it involved coercion and force and violence, as you saw from the videotape.
And as you see, what the verdict said is that was not present, that Cassie was a willing participant. In fact, it was verified by, who was it? I don't even like to call it grown man that's given the context, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It was confirmed that, look, Cassie was going, soliciting, participating, the whole 9 yards. So if Diddy is guilty of the 2 charges that he is guilty of, so is she. So is she.
So and to recap what he said, the first time that I thought that maybe she was whatever. He said after that, not. He could tell it was strictly a performance for the dude that was watching. So that's what he said out of his mouth. Go ahead, Afro Agnostic.
Folks are so kind of busy whining and crying about men not being treated equal. I don't know in this context, but Cassie and Jane Doe were examples given to show that his transportation for prostitution, the Mann Act, involved coercion. So how can those who you coerce be involved? How can they be charged with coercing themselves? It doesn't make sense. We saw the video of him with Cassie. That was one other case in point to show that these transactions or this activity involved force. You can't get those who were forced to be charged with forcing themselves. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't fly.
Not to mention the various texts of them saying that I don't want to do this, whatever, or I wanted to do in the beginning, but now I'm just doing this. Or he says freak off or fuck off. These are the type of things to show you that, again, like I said, just because you give consent at one moment doesn't mean you give a consent for every moment. You know what I'm saying? Infamous Elpo. I'm gonna let you put a ball on this. What you got to say?
Hey, that was a gangster ass quote. Let me tell you that.
Freak off or F off? Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
That's real talk. I'm tired of hearing about this Diddy situation. You want to impress me? They should have put him on trial for the RICO of the killing of Tupac and the attempted killing of Biggie. I mean, of Suge.
Damn.
That's what I think.
I think that he was 100% justified if he had any involvement with any of that stuff. So, I'm not going to fault it. Them dudes is trying to kill you. They made a dude drink pee to give up his parents' address. Nah, hell no. Whatever, that's war. Someone do that stuff to you, I'm not going to fault him for any of that, But,
even putting $1 million hit on him?
Yep, that's right. Hey, he had $1 million to do it. Me, I'd do it myself.
Is that a crime? It is a crime.
It is a crime, but I'm just saying, I don't think they need somebody to go to jail for that.
Real quick, I want to play some reactions of people's reactions to the verdict, particularly the sister Tizo. She became popular during this trial, from what I understand. This was her reaction to Diddy's verdict.
Sean Diddy Combs not guilty. We're going to talk about what this means. We're going to talk about what happened. We're going to talk about what the government said. And we're going to talk about the way I feel that jury has failed us. I feel like the jury failed us. I feel like we stepped back 20 years. I feel like they sent a message about what they care about. Celebrity, money, power, influence, flunkies.
Now, that was a lot of people. A lot of people felt that way. I'm not going to just say women, because I know it was men who felt the same way. And so a lot of people feel that way about it. Nice guy, what's up? Were you one of the people?
I feel that what she said, some of us are going to play, I'm going to agree with all that, but what she said, I pretty much agreed with.
All right. Now, let's hear from...
But on the real, we talked about this last week, though, in terms of, the fact that this was in Manhattan. And then what I tell you, This shit came from Mr. Nice. He's our jury and trial expert, you know, around here and whatnot. You know what I mean? But look, this is in Manhattan. In Manhattan's the type of stuff they were hearing. That's not like, you know, crazy and abnormal and wow.
That's his peers. That's his peers. He has a right to be. He has a right to be judged by his peers. We shouldn't be venue shopping for the sake of trying to get a verdict. That kind of flies in the face of justice. Go ahead, play the video.
Let me play one more reaction.
Holmes shook his head vigorously and put his hands together in prayer. Oh, it's all just so chummy inside the courtroom for this disgusting pervert female abuser who I can't believe is about to roam our streets again. I'm sorry, I'm disgusted by this verdict. This is fucking ridiculous. I just find it absolutely outrageous, the amount of crime that this guy just got away with. I believe he committed arson. He definitely battered Cassie. He battered...
Diddy is guilty of being a freak. Diddy is guilty of domestic violence. Diddy is guilty of being arrogant, but he is not guilty of trafficking. That is a...
All right.
Diddy should run for president.
And I wish I would have quoted from last week on this subject because that last one was that Anton was that who the person was?
Yeah, Anton Daniels.
Yeah. You know, right on. That was spot on.
All right.
So you want to go to the commercials, or say we still no? We're going to talk about the Remy Ma court confrontation. Now again, wish had Walk here. He had a whole lot more information on this, but the short and skinny of it is that Remy Ma's son is accused of killing the father of the lady she got into a confrontation with in front of the courthouse. And as I understand it, as Walk told me, that there's video. Like this dude is like, you know, probably not beating this case. So, you know, again,
there's video of the killing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when I say that, you know, you're innocent till proven guilty, you're not convicted till proven guilty. But you know, it seems like he's actually guilty of the crime of this situation. So it's a messed up situation. And I understand that, you know, Remy Ma, you're gonna ride for your kid, but I'm just telling you, I love my kid, but I'm not going to. My support of my kid has boundaries as far as righteousness and wrong. You go murder somebody that doesn't deserve whatever. Yeah, I'm not defending. I'm not defending that.
So the court confrontation took place like it was during her son's trial, right? And the lady, the daughter of the man who was murdered, was recording her, and she was asking like for an apology or something, or you don't have no regret, and they was going back and forth. And I don't know how the argument started or why Remy Ma kept it going, but I know that she was eventually detained by the police for a moment and to get to calm it down. But I don't know if I would go back and forth with the murder if my son murdered somebody.
You gotta take that L, First Lady Jane.
Yeah.
First Lady Jane. What's your take on this, sister?
Knowing that it's the fact that my son killed someone, I just have to walk away. All I can do is just apologize, you know, on behalf, just apologize, period, you know, because although both families are taking a loss, Remy's son is still alive.
Yep.
So, you know, it's stupid. It's just downright stupid to go back and forth. That child is hurting. You know, she can't get her dad back. She can't converse, can't do anything, can't hug, can't visit, nothing at all. So, you know, she just walked away and said,
May I add some nuance to it?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, because the video doesn't really comport with the claims. I didn't really see anything in the video, but a slight little 3-second back and forth between the two. According to the daughter of the person who Remy's son is accused of killing, Remy Ma was, you know, glaring at her and was kind of whispering or saying things in the courtroom, and that led to the confrontation outside. But I'm not sure. Also, by the way, one of the co-defendants with her son is also accused or has been accused of another crime as well, another murder. So you know, that's, you know, he looks very guilty, and like Walk said, and Floyd has confirmed, is on video. They have it on video. But that's what brings up a point for me, because it was a very merciless killing. Like, even after he was down on the ground, multiple shots still in the back of the head. So I think this is some street business. You know what I'm saying? And I think part of I'm saying it could be some street business to where Remy Ma can't speak on it and the daughter can't speak on it like it should, because that's street business. And there's probably some previous conflict that they had. Maybe her father had attempted to kill Remy's son before and some back and forth. So I think that could possibly be the case.
Yeah.
So is that what we call? It's funny, like the vernacular. So you call it street business, you know what I mean? I call it some straight ninja-ish. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm looking at this, but this is just messy. But it's like, I mean, first of all, it's like I think the conviction rate among Black folks has less to do about skin color than it does like the decision making. We do pre-trial, post-trial, during trial. It's ridiculous, because the like a remorse she showed. That's not. That's not going to play well, in the court, and that's not helping her son at all. Meanwhile, in her personal life, her marriage to Papoose is unraveled, the infidelity going on both sides, and all this other stuff that's going on. It's like, look, man, this is, there's similarities to some other things going on, but on this right here, this is just, unfortunately, culture. It's a shame.
No, I don't think it's culture. As far as the conviction rate, we know that whites get less sentences for the same crimes. We know that there's a higher conviction rates for the same crimes when you look at the conviction rate when you look at race. So
sure, there's no argument with that. But what I'm saying is that in any trial,
let me finish. Let me finish.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? That to me, that's not the case. I'm saying, like, if I have beef with Floyd's trying to kill me, I'm trying to kill him. I get to him first. And then, somehow, maybe, I don't know, maybe someone on the other side, they witnessed to the crime, which is something you're not supposed to do on the street tip, when it's street business. So I'm just saying it doesn't really make Remy Ma guilty or do, any more than the other party in the case. That's all I'm saying. Look, it could be possibly street business that we don't know about, instead of just assuming that Remy Ma's in the wrong, her son killed, and she's not showing remorse and stuff like that. It could be a bigger picture. That's all I'm suggesting.
Oh, okay. I get you. I get what you're saying. Infamous El Poo, you want to tie this up?
Yeah, I'm just say this much. If y'all looking at the show right now, push that like button. We do appreciate it. And Remy Ma. What is wrong with you?
La Brea Trucking for all of your trucking needs. East Coast to West Coast, West Coast to East Coast, North to South, South to West. Call the brother. Y'all saw the number at the end. You need something delivered or transported across state, and nothing illegal. No prostitution. But if you need something transported across the state, call La Brea Trucking. Y'all saw the number at the end.
That's gobealive.org. Go get you some of that black honey. And if you want it in person, go to the Petty Vice in Venice or to the Afro City Marketplace at the Crenshaw Mall.
Score Bar and Lounge, a black-owned bar, 7123 Franklin Boulevard. Go check them out. Nice environment, good music. The drinks flow. I wanted to try to find a nice word. The drinks flow. But go check them out. It's black-owned. Me and Student Next, we're gonna make a trip up there. We're gonna let y'all know about it.
What's up?
Sure.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to the brother in the comments, the Be Greater. He said, I want to say, I love how you brothers conduct these discussions. You give each person time to make a point and do not talk over each other. The civility is refreshing. So salute to the Focus Up show and the civility that in the civil way that we conduct ourselves. First Lady, thank you. Mr. Nice Guy, Afro Agnostic, everybody, thank you, and thank you to the viewers.
So let's talk. Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, do the commercial.
Sex it's coming back.
Grown heterosexual conversations. That's what's up. Every Thursday at 9 p.m.
All right. I gotta make some more commercials. Let's go on, Nice Guy. Where we at? Let's
I was gonna say, let's talk about Carmelo Anthony, not the former Laker Carmelo Anthony, but the other Carmelo Anthony. And really, Student X wants to speak on this, brother. Give him the platform. Give him the spotlight. Go ahead and say what you want to say about this, brother Student X.
Yeah, brother. I thought there was a lot of passion in our community about this topic. It since has gone away, and my theory was that people realized, the community, the error in, the thinking at the time, because primarily in our community, it was that this was a self-defense, claim, and it has proven to not be that. And, and there is, there still seems to be some controversy, over, this particular, situation. And so I just thought that was something that was notable. The fact that there has been a first degree murder indictment now inside this case. And then, and then the highlight, just like in the last case that we talked about with the mother, unfortunately, a lot of people, don't, have an understanding when it comes to these criminal cases, and, really Mr. Nice, is supposed to be, I would say the expert on this, but public perception and emotional intelligence, are critical, in criminal cases. And the jury absolutely, looks at the family's action. And if it doesn't reflect remorse, respect, reconciliation, then that's a problem. And then when you go further on to look at like who this family has like gravitated to and is representing them, I mean, it's none other than the baby shaking minister. You know what I mean? And it's just a shame. It's like, you can't these decisions, like for example, when the father came,
you talking about Benjamin Crumb?
No, not Benjamin Crumb. The brother, the self-proclaimed, minister Dominique Alexander. He's a minister. I don't know if he's like, where he got this title, right? I have suspicions, but I don't know. But he's like, moving with Black Lives Matters and different things of this nature. But very controversial past, including doing time, for shaking the damn baby, damn near to death, And so, and this is your guy that's representing you, and then his poor decision making is once again reflecting the fact that when the father comes to the vigil, the first situation that's going on, you all don't allow him, to even participate, in this situation. You're turning them away. All this is going to come back and haunt them. But this brother is going to jail, and now the question is going to be the sentencing, and that's where a lot of discrepancies, sometimes come into play, but they're not doing anything to help themselves at all, in this situation, not even a little bit, and so, that's pretty much the main thing that I want to share, is just how the mishaps, in terms of, how they're moving, legally in this situation that is not going to, help this brother, at all. And I think that, by the time this is all said and done, he might be sitting, with, a 20+ year verdict, by the time this is all said and done. But we'll see what happens.
So the reason why wait a second, brother. I'll give it to you in a little second. So the reason why I didn't think this was nothing really to report as far as the indictment, that's the only new real information. And the indictment was inevitable. And we said on the show that black man is likely going to get charged. And we'll see how it is. Just because there's a first degree indictment, it's just like with Diddy. You'll get indicted with a bunch of things. All an indictment means is that you have a triable case. So they're going to try the case, and we're going to see if he's going to get first degree, if he's going to get second degree, he's going to get whatever. We'll find out. But right now, we have really nothing new of substance to report. So, we'll see. And these things are decided in the courtroom. They're not decided outside of it. So we'll see how that plays out. That having been said, Alpha Agnostic, go ahead and say what you want to say about it.
No, I just want to say, I think that if it was a predominantly white county, if it were not a predominantly white county, I'm not sure if he would have even been indicted. If it was a predominantly black county or a county heavily populated by people of color, I'm just thinking out loud, like in contrast or contrasting that with Kyle Rittenhouse, who came across city lines with an AR-15, killed 2 people, and that was deemed an act of self-defense. So, and I just noticed the contrast, the racial differences here, and how the two are assumed to be innocent or guilty.
Anybody else got something to say about this?
I just wanted to say I think he should go to jail. He should have been in jail because, if my son or my child goes to a track meet and don't make it home because somebody was sitting in something, there's no reason somebody should die. So he's in jail. I'm not sure as far as the racial makeup and that being a deciding factor to whether he indicted or not. That dude should be in jail and facing charges and let the court decide his outcome.
And all accounts, he didn't provoke. He was attacked.
We'll see how it plays out. That's it. All right, so you want to go on to the next
thing?
Wait,
hold up. Brother said he was attacked, according to the videos and whatnot that we're seeing, and a lot of testimony is essentially he said, touch me and see what happens. And that's something that in the community, I've heard it a time or two. And usually, at the very least, there's some fist that's flying, shortly, thereafter, but the gentleman touched him and he got stabbed in the chest, bro. That is not, the self-defense claim. And
no one starts off with touch me and see what happens. There's obviously aggression before then, and that's basically that's just something that precedes other. But that having been said, are we ready to speak on the next situation? I believe the next situation is Alligator, the big beautiful bill. Now, Student X, I'm gonna start with you. You go ahead and speak what you want to say about this big beautiful bill of Trump that was passed. There was a lot of organizing, a lot of sort of like adjustment. This is what happens, but it was inevitable to be passed because they were in control of the House and the Senate. So that having been said, go ahead, brother.
Well, so first of all, of course, it was narrowly passed, 218, 214. Only 2 Republicans had voted no. And one of those Republicans, if he were to be announced this run for presidency, for this next election, he would have my vote right off the bat, Thomas Massie. And then there was another gentleman out of Pennsylvania, Brian Fitzpatrick, voted no on it. The reasons they cited was increasing national debt, for Massie, to summarize it. And then Fitzpatrick, is, of course, talked about the weekend protections to Medicaid, social services. He is in a district in PA that heavily relies on that, but overall, if you look at this whole thing, to sum it up, there are some modest, short-term gains for the majority of Americans, but, the big winner, if you will, in this situation is absolutely, those, who are more wealthy, and doing, very, very well. Now, the other thing that is going to be important to note is that, like the cultural what's been accepted in the so-called Black culture, based on this bill, man, there's going to have to be, some changes, because it's going to take more than ever, a strong core, a family structure, that pulls their resources together, works together, has harmony and unity, to strengthen, not only what was here and was, related in this bills in terms of the lack of support, and the different programs being reduced, and people having to work in the economy where there's not many jobs, but even beyond that, we're looking at the headwinds, that we're still looking at in terms of war, more inflation, so there's a lot that's going on right now. But overall, I don't think that this was a big win, for the country, overall as a whole. And I absolutely believe that Elon Musk, might end up being inside the mix in terms of making the third party and making the actual, for the first time in a long time, a true actual candidate who could win a general election as a third party.
Yeah, we'll see about we'll see about that. He's already pissed off the Democrats, and we'll see what's going on with the Republicans. But speaking on this big beautiful bill, brother Afro Agnostics, do you have anything to say about this?
Woo, man, I don't even know where to begin. But let me just say, man, this whole concept. I've said this from the very beginning. Billionaires don't help the working class. Billionaires don't help poor people. There's no history of it. It's ahistorical. I don't know why we would choose Trump and then, but Elon Musk is going to be another billionaire. He's going to help us out. No billionaire is going to help you out. None, zero. They became billionaires by not helping people out, by paying people less than what their value of work is. I mean, if you just look at the numbers of this bill, the tax cuts, we look, they throw that around, tax cuts. But that's really just saying that we're no longer going to get revenue. The government is not going to get this revenue anymore. So $4 billion lost. They try to make it up by doing less spending, taking money away from poor people, up to $1 trillion. They're going to take away from Medicaid, SNAP, and student loans, and other things that are other services that are needed by the bottom 20%. So all in all, for takeaway one, you're going to add $30 billion to the deficit. Deficit literally means money that you have to borrow. The number one foreign lender to the United States is Japan. So, here there is, they putting out this xenophobia, and immigrants and all this are taking our money, but Japan is buying all the loans. So you're a foreign government. That's even worse than, this whole whining and crying, or this claim that immigrants are taking away the money. And it's like Student X said, 75% of those cuts are going to large businesses and corporations, the top 20% and the top 1%. So, I mean, I can go on and on here, but the math is just, the
math
crazy.
is not mathing. I hear what you're saying. The math is. First Lady J,
yeah.
You got something to say about this big, beautiful bill?
It's just a common sense thing. What people been saying for years and what I've been saying is just a prime example of keeping the rich richer and the poor poorer. There's no other way to put it.
Hey, he was so concerned about DEI and taking away stuff. But I remember there was a video that I shared with brother Afro Agnostics, where they're trying to give tax cuts to like tanning
salons, straight white people.
That's not us. That's not us. You know what I'm saying? So that's that BS. You got something to say about this, boss man, Mr. Floyd X?
No, I mean what they said is basically what I'm seeing and understanding from this bill. As far as it's taking money away, and it's gonna get a lot harder for people out here. So, like Brother Student X say, you better brace for it and get prepared for it, because it don't look like nothing nice. And I don't understand how his supporters supported this and pushed it through, because everybody know all the lies. I guess it is. It's politics. Never mind.
Well, think about it. I mean, there are certain things that it does. It does do things to strengthen the border. It does lean into immigration, dealing with that. It does deal with, he's got one thing about it that seems positive about every baby born or something like that, $1,000 such and such. So, there's some things, but as Student X said many times on the show, a lot of times they put a lot of pork in these bills, and it's the pork in this bill.
Can I just mention, as far as the revenue, the tax cuts, 5% of those tax cuts are going to the bottom 20%, and 20% is going to those who make $60,000, going to the middle class, and you have to make more than $60,000. I can't remember the limit to be included in the middle class. The average black income is only 56,000 per year, so it doesn't even apply to us. We get the crumbs.
Go ahead, infamous El Pooh. You got something to say about this, brother?
Yeah, it should be called the Beautiful Billionaires Bill or the Babylon
Ooh.
Burning Bill. It ain't gonna do nothing to help anybody but the rich people, more or less. As far as these tax cuts goes, it's tax cuts for the rich, the elite. That's permanent. The tax cut on what's the tips and the Social Security and whatever else. I think that's only for about 3 or 4 years, something like that. It ain't gonna last. It's just a whole lot of stuff in this bill that's just not going to be beneficial for anybody but elite people. It's going to hurt Medicare. A lot of hospitals are going to close down. A lot of people are going to be kicked off their health care. It's going to do a lot of damage for a lot of people out here, and it's crazy, and it's very unpopular. It's one of the most unpopular bills probably ever. So it's not really its supporters. It's just the GOP. Those people have no spine at all. They don't care, and they know this might possibly wipe them out in the midterms too. But they don't care. They don't care.
We'll see. But there's one thing that this does help fund. That would be Alligator Alcatraz. So hey, Student X, you understand what this Alligator Alcatraz is?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, it's a temporary immigration detention facility.
Concentration camp. That's what you call a concentration camp. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can call it, a lot of things, but one thing that is definitely not meant to be is hospitable, and friendly. It's like, it definitely puts the what one would think of a prison. That this is definitely fits the bill, as far as this goes. Some say they're planning on putting some corrupt politicians in there, but hell, they better lock up all of them, what I mean? So, but yeah, it's different. There's environmental concerns, with the fact that this is there because, there's different preservation acts, like the Florida Panther, things of that nature that's there. There's a historical context, in regards, to like the land and what it sits on, and there's and his relationship to native tribes and whatnot, the inhumane conditions, but hey, it is what it is. And I most assuredly don't want to be like there, but the thing is that immigration, bill, now is funded, and then I think that it definitely will absolutely be used for that. But then the question is, after they're done rounding those type of individuals up, who's next? What I mean, is it people are dissenting public thoughts?
That's why I put this up there, Mr. Floyd. Every time he said that, I'm like, he said who's going to end up in there. So I'm just saying that's what's going on. So Afro agnostics, you got some take on this, brother?
I mean, when I heard about the Alligator Alcatraz, I thought about Abu Ghraib, in Afghanistan. I thought about Guantanamo Bay, the Japanese concentration camps. And also you had the Mexican concentration camps, Operation Sweatback in the 30s and the 40s as well. But what caught me though is in the article you sent, the annual cost to operate this for a single year is $450 million. And the holding capacity is 3,000. So you're spending $150,000 per person. You claim they're taking resources, so you're going to invest $150,000. Just look at these numbers. Federal prison cost is about $42,000 per person, and that's on the high end. Public college tuition about $24,000 for an entire 4 years. You can go to some colleges and graduate in 4 years and spend $24,000. Just look at what can be done with this money. This is, I mean, again, man, give those people work permits. Let them stay. They're already contributing to the federal treasury, and they're getting no benefits from it. Let them continue to do that. It would be cheaper to do that and give that money. You can give out 15,000 kids a year a college tuition for the next 10 years. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Hey, before I pass this first lady, I want to speak on this comment. He says, why are the people who are employing these migrants not get arrested? See, this is what I made this argument on Facebook. I said, if you are being paid less than minimum wage, you know what I'm saying? That you're working, you're paying less than minimum wage. You're not the one getting a free pass. It's your employer that's getting a free pass. Your employer, because all you're doing is what everybody else is doing. You're showing up to work and you're just walking away with less money. The reality is, all of this stuff is benefiting the employers made for it. You know, these people, a lot of these people that, you know, they're contributing to the economy as well because they're buying stuff. You know, you go to certain places and you don't see a lot of traffic there because of what's going on. And it's like, you know, there's commerce, there's things that they contribute other than just their labor, but it's their participation. I understand that some bad apples, get the bad apples out, but we show that the percentages of the bad apples that are already here is greater than the percentage of the bad apples of the people to come. So, you know, that having been said, First Lady TJ, what do you think about Alligator Alcatraz? You are muted, sister.
Well, my son walked in and distracted me. I do apologize. What did I miss on that part? I was trying to focus, but he had a little emergency that.
Well, it's just basically the concept of Alligator Alcatraz. You know, it's just the function of that. It's going to cost a whole lot of much money to do this, to basically prosecute people that are contributing, you know, actually more than it is to just to detain them on this level. Again, when you're dealing with criminals and bad apples, do what you got to do to make to detain them and to ship them on. But, you know, we understand that a lot of these people, they're you know, Statue of Liberty, give us you're hungry, give us your poor. That's all they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what's up.
And that was the policy from the beginning of the country all the way until the 1930s. You didn't have to have no papers, no legality, no process. As long as you didn't have pneumonia and some other diseases, illnesses, if you were white, you were right. Come on in. All these policies of detention, deportation, all this is only targeted towards people of color, exclusively, starting with blacks, then Asians, and then Hispanics. That was never the case when the majority of immigrants were from Europe.
So that having been said, First Lady, in the context,
I'm sorry. I thought you were. I'm sorry. I thought
no.
You know, I'm just gonna have to piggyback off of what you said. You know, I'm all for those that commit crimes, the bad people. Like it's worth it for that part. Like that. I'm gonna agree with you on that part for sure.
So, Mr. Floyd X, go ahead.
Call it Alligator Auschwitz.
Ouch, boy. Give him sorry. A little slow on this, but you know you're gonna get one for that. Oh crap. This thing, there we go. Yeah, that's ugly. So I would ask Mr. Floyd X, but I don't know if he's there. So I'm gonna say, there you go, Mr. Floyd X.
Yes,
your
sir.
Hair, I'm about to say your hair just changed. Oh, it was your...
It was like that.
Exactly. So what do you feel about this Alligator Alcatraz?
Man, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. That's why I put like more cages for humans. I mean, why he's so bent on making these, and it's going to be alligators. If they try to escape, they're going to get eaten by the. It's an ignorant position that he comes from, and I just don't understand it no more. I just be sitting there like, what is all this shit, man? And if they land here, the only exit they going to their country or where they're going wherever. It's like, who is backing this?
It's called xenophobia.
Yeah, exactly. I say you don't understand racism. You don't understand that these people actually demonize people just because they come from some other place. I mean, we're human beings. We're human beings. All of this belongs to all of us. You know what I'm saying? So we should have compassion for other human beings, especially ones that are decent, you know, as opposed to the ones that are rapists and killers and people to do all the criminal things that the president does. But I was just about to pass it to infamous El Poo. And go ahead. What you about to say, Mr. Floyd X?
I'm glad I got nothing to say.
Infamous El Poo. So what you got to say about Alligator Alcatraz?
Well, it's a good thing that we got this big, beautiful bill to pay for these new ICE agents that we got, which are called alligators. They got, you know. So I guess it's all going to work out, I guess.
Man, yeah, it is. It absolutely is. You know, and it's amazing that people struggle with this, but actually it's not. It comes back to the same thing. Like you said, xenophobia is racism. It's basically white fragility. It's white people wanting to feel like a victim too, despite what just
I
pure
think
logic.
replacement theory is really replacement
theory. It's a big issue. So So I don't know. That's probably about it. Unless you want to go into a little. That nod means yes. So that having been said, we thank you for watching. Everybody that's been participating. Big Cuz, shout out to you. Be greater. You have been greater, and we appreciate you. And like, subscribe, share. Do all of that stuff. Represent and watch those clips too, because the clips are where we do our real clicks. So and thank you, Infamous El Poo, for handling that. You do a great job of that. Thank you for everybody for all your participation. Shout out to Brother Walk wherever you is. You're gonna be like, send me the link. But that haven't been said. Peace out.
All right, y'all
Thank you
have
very
a good
much.
one. We out.
All right, fam.